Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geek'd Out. We are on another episode. Very happy to be here today. Today we are going to be talking about the hit NBC show, The Good Place, an instant classic. This is honestly one of my favorite shows. I think it's one of the more slept-on shows, personally. I think a lot of people enjoyed it, but there are a lot of people that I talk to, and they're like, I have no idea what that is. I was like, what are you talking about? Kristen Bell, Ted Danson, nothing. None of this is ringing a bell. No, I don't know what that is. I just watch the Cowboys lose at football. That's what I do. All right. Well, this has been a great conversation. Really stimulating. But I have three guests who are avid fans of the show, and let's go ahead and bring them out now. Our first guest, a really great guy, super funny person. Give it up for Dean Allen Stanfield. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, how you doing, man?
I've been doing great. Yeah. Let's see. Last time that I saw you, we were in Killeen together. Killeen is a small town in Texas. If you haven't heard of it, it's okay. You don't need to go there. But it was a really fun show. We did an improv show out there. Great guy. Bug set it up. Guys, follow Junebug and all social media stuff. And I believe if I remember correctly, my team kicked your butt. I believe that happens.
Y'all definitely won for sure. And embarrassingly enough, I never want to lose to Aussie Moon ever again in my life.
It's not a good thing to happen, but I have to be on his team, and he is a terrible person. Actually, the rest of the podcast will be about how Aussie Moon is responsible for 9/11 and Michael Jackson's death. It's pretty much that all those happened. That was
if there's anybody that deserves to be in the bad place, it's that dirty little swamp rat. So I think we can all agree.
He is a big fart sniffer. He is just
chambermates with Trump if he had a place, or Hitler or whoever the worst one is now. I don't know.
I don't know. It's going to be a conflict between those two.
We're not talking about politics, but no, man, I really appreciate it, man. I love being on here. I didn't think a mullet man would get onto the Geek Show, but I really appreciate you bringing me on.
Hey, man, we want to bring diversity to the show. So just different types of white people, that's what we try to do out here.
For sure, man.
Mullet white people, esoteric, whatever. Yeah. Our next guest, also a super funny guy. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Michael. How you doing? Michael Timmett, how you doing, bud? Whoa.
Good. How you doing, man?
Doing okay. All right. We lost video for a second.
I'm back. Sorry.
Cool. Yeah, you're good. You're broadcasting from Vegas, correct?
Well, yes, I'm broadcasting Vegas. Sorry, my cousin keeps trying to call me for some reason. Right now, in the middle. Broadcasting from Vegas. I do comedy out here, and it's still in the 90s. In October, we're in a desert. I guess I shouldn't be surprised, but holy shit, it's usually in the 70s.
I'm in Texas, so we're pretty much looking at the same situation.
Wow, okay.
At least it's the dry heat. That's what people always say.
It's definitely not the medium place temperature-wise. It's definitely the bad place, I think, as far as my sweat goes.
Oh yeah. It's this is Vegas and Texas and I think Oklahoma, Arizona, Florida are one of those places where you don't have to know what the word swamp ass means to know that you have it. It's one of those
exactly.
You have it and you've never heard the word before in your life, but then you're like, oh, I have swamp ass. That's what's happening. I have it.
I feel like there's an alligator back there somewhere. I totally understand. You're looking at swamps for sure. There's algae growing somehow in your ass. It's terrible.
Very unpleasant feeling, and honestly, I'm surprised that it didn't come up more in The Good Place. Very, very disappointed. But still, one of the most amazing shows ever. Anyway, our third guest is a friend of mine from high school. I also was friends with his twin brother, who almost ended up being on the show instead of him. Give it up for Aaron Riggin.
Howdy.
Hey, man. How's it going? So, I'm not kidding when I say that. So, Aaron has a brother. So are you the oldest, or is he the oldest? I know you're twins, but which one came out?
I am the younger.
Okay.
By about that much.
Missed it by this much.
Yeah, exactly. It was a claw to get out, but he won by a hair.
Dang it. Well, you came in second out of two. So, I was friends with your brother in high school. Like I knew you both. I did theater with your brother. We were both theater nerds. So, he contacted me to be on one of my episodes of Geek'd Out that we'll be doing later. And then you messaged me to be on this show.
Yes.
And I didn't realize that I was actually talking to you. I thought I was talking to your brother. So I put him on the group chat. And then he was like, hey, man, I think you mean Aaron. And I was like, is he making a stupid joke? And then I was like, oh, shit. He means his twin brother, Aaron, who definitely exists and is a person. Yes. It was, very egg on my face. Yeah, I literally just forgot that, twins were a thing. And I literally was just watching Sister Sister. By the way, have you guys ever been on that show? Did you guys ever get to ask to be on Sister Sister since, you guys are twins too?
We were the right age, but being in Texas is not really conducive for fame for most.
It's, that's not necessarily true. Jamie Foxx is from Texas, and man, a whole bunch of other people.
McConaughey.
Matthew McConaughey. Matthew McConaughey is definitely from Texas.
Yeah.
And he's
right.
If Texas was high, then that would be Matthew McConaughey very much. And a bunch of others. I don't have time to bring them up, but we don't have time at all.
Show.
We got a different show. That will be for another time where we'll just discuss Matthew McConaughey and why he's a big old weirdo. We'll also do Jeff Goldblum and why he's a weirdo too.
Yeah, you got to bring me on that one.
For sure. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the first subtopic of our Good Place episode of Geek'd Out. And our first subtopic is, did Chidi really deserve to be in the bad place? I think this is a great way to start the show because I think it's a very loaded question. He's only guilty of being an indecisive person. In every other way, he is the most decent and good human being ever and has dedicated his entire life to doing so, to doing good. He's dedicated his life to philosophy and morals and goodness. And he still ended up in the bad place. And that's insane. Obviously, as you dive later into the show, you realize that they just decide that all of humanity is bad and that pretty much literally no one has gotten to go to the good place in a very long time. But we didn't know that at the end of the first season. So let's go ahead and get into why did Chidi really deserve to be in the bad place. I'm going to go ahead and start with let's go ahead and start with Aaron. Aaron, what do you think, sir?
Man, this is probably one of the hardest questions I've been thinking about since we got these topics. Yeah. And it depends on the framework on how they did the show. And ultimately, if the show is how the whole point of doing good to the good place was how much good you did for the world or did for others. And even though he was a great moral person, according to the show, his indecisiveness ultimately negatively affected so many other people around him.
Yeah, that is true.
And ultimately to the point where he was his friends would rely on him and couldn't rely on him, and I don't know, but like that's like, for the framework of the show, that's the only justification I can think of. As far as does he actually belong there? Hell no.
Yeah,
I think they just needed to put a good person in the bad place to be able to teach moral philosophy, and they kick it down the curb a little bit with, it's like, oh, everybody hates moral philosophy professors, and I mean, not wrong, but but yeah, ultimately, no, I don't think he really belongs there.
But that is a really good point. Yeah. Especially the point you made about like his friends, like his friends obviously love and care about him very much, but because of just who he is as a person, it kind of, in a way, made him a bad friend. It was never his intention, but I think we've all learned over the years that it's not really about your intention. It's about how it's perceived and how it's just how it affects others. So, his inability to make decisions, at the end of the day, even if you make a bad decision, as long as you made one, the day wasn't wasted. He ended up wasting a lot of his existence on Earth, like just being like, do I do this or that? Even simple decisions were impossible for him. And because he just,
And we all know a Cheaty. We all have that friend who's like, dude, I love you. I'll do anything for you, but damn, could you at least be consistent?
Just come on, man. Like, it's kind of like asking your girlfriend like where she wants to eat. Like, it's really just like, oh man, imagine asking Cheaty where he wants to eat. Like, hey, you want to go to Chipotle or Whataburger?
And scene.
Yeah,
that's actually how he died. I mean, he could not pick a single bar to go to, and then while he was standing there, an air conditioner fell on his head.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll go ahead and move on to you, Dean. Do you think that we'll move on. Do you think he deserved to be in the bad place?
Man, I think even in the beginning, they weren't really clear about what, I mean, it depends on what your term of bad is, and what he did his entire life. And honestly, if you would look at Cheaty on paper and you would pick if it was a decision-based process, I mean, are they looking at the soul of the person? They weren't. They were looking at a list of things that he did right. So it was really surprising to me that he didn't figure it out. Like, I think he just went off the basis that they told him he deserves to be in the good place because of what he did on Earth. But if he would have stopped and thought about it, he was like, I didn't make a single he couldn't choose a blueberry muffin in his actual life. So he never, even though he talked about things, did those things that he talked about change that many lives of people? And that's why, is he responsible for all the good deeds that they did? But if you look at purely on what Cheaty did, he didn't do anything, Like, he never made a good decision. He just talked about good things, and talking about doing things and doing things are two completely different things. So I could see if I was Cheaty and I got down there, or if I was the person that decided who goes to a good place and who goes to a bad place based off the system that they had in season 1, I'd be like, I don't think Cheaty belongs here at all.
Yeah, I would say one thing I would say is that it's their idea of like what puts you in the good place and what puts you on the bad place is pretty much strictly based on how you affect the Earth, how you affect the people on Earth and everyone around you. And I mean, that's pretty loaded. That's pretty tough because it seems like most of us, I think there are a lot of people that have career goals and have goals for starting a family and this and that. But there are a lot of people that are like, man, I'm just going to go to work and then I'm going to go home and then I'm going to play Call of Duty and then I'm going to smoke a bowl and then, I'm going to eat a panini or some bullshit, and then I'm going to watch The Good Place and go to sleep, we don't necessarily spend time thinking about how we affect the world. I don't think, do you guys all wake up thinking, all right, this is what I'm going to do for the world. today. You know, I don't know. It's a little intense. It's a little bit of a, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of fucking pressure.
Yeah.
It just seems like a lot. Yeah. So, Michael, what about you? What do you think?
Well, I think they're all wrong. He definitely belonged in the bad place. Guys, he read a paper about how almonds negatively impact the environment, and he put it in his coffee. Anyway, okay? Like, that's he doesn't belong. Kind of idea of Chidi, he's putting it, he doesn't belong there, right? We all see he doesn't belong there. Even if he negatively impacted people's feelings, he doesn't actually do anything to them, but he still loses points, which is later we find out the whole point system's messed up. That's the problem with Chidi. And it takes 3 seasons for them to get there. But when they go to account, am I giving too much away? When they go to account,
no. It's fine. We're assuming in the show, like when we discuss like shows and stuff like that, we're assuming that everyone has at least seen it, like seen all of it the way through. So
fair
if
enough.
you get spoilers,
so when we get to season 3 and no one's gotten in for 500 years, that's our tip. Like, that's why Chidi's in the bad place. Because of all the characters there, we can see why Jason, Eleanor, and Tahani all deserve their places there. We can reason that. Chidi doesn't make sense until season 3. When we find out buying a tomato at the store, which should be a simple decision, is negative X amount of points because of all these. I like how they break that down too. How there's other consequences that you don't even see when you, and we can take that for anything. If you buy a if you can take real life, if you buy a smartphone, there's minerals that are mined from slavery. There's modern day slavery. And those minerals get mined and put into our Apple iPhones and our Samsung phones, and they're paid slave wage. I mean, are we making a negative impact? But there's positive that comes with an iPhone. We can connect with one another. You see what I mean? Like, so it just, I think the point of Chidi was foreshadowing the fact that nobody gets in it. When Doug Forsett, like, so then we have that example. Doug's like the opposite, where he makes only decisions, but only good ones. He doesn't get in. So I like how they bring up the point system, and I kind of think a point system is bullshit, which I think is what they were trying to point out in the show.
Yeah, it is. It is like the way that they do eventually like get to the point where they realize that this isn't like what salvation and redemption, like you're literally forgetting one of the most important things that humans do is redeem ourselves. That, and like you know, penance and all that stuff. It really kind of goes against like quite a few like religious setups in the show. It doesn't necessarily directly contradict them, but it kind of suggests that it steers away a little bit. It steers away, and it's just very interesting.
If you talk to people, but they,
no, go ahead.
They make it secular. But I know people who are Christian who do point, like, you did this, therefore you're this. Or I mean, you can choose your religion. It doesn't need to be, it can be Christian, Muslim, Buddhism. There are directives in those religions that says good people do this, bad people do that, which I think is what they were kind of trying to bring out in the show in a broad way that didn't just slam any one religion.
Yeah, that's not about.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of like, there's a lot of black and white that goes on in a lot of religion. Like, if you do this, you're this. If you do that, you're that. If you're gay, you're this. If you're in interracial relationships, you're that. But if you do this, you're this. If you like, if you borrow your neighbor's Wi-Fi, you're this. Yeah. And I think as the show progresses, we learn that life is just very, very complicated. It's very complicated for everyone. And we're all just kind of trying to do our best with what we have. And I think every single character struggled with that in a way, but they just did their best. Even Jason, to a degree, just did the best he can. He's in Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
The worst place ever. It's awful.
Poor Jacksonville Jaguar fan.
He's
the Jacksonville Jaguars. he actually is kind of a sweet guy. He does
He's
illegal shit all the time. Yeah, he's just. I love all of the jokes about Jacksonville, Florida that they make on the show are so perfect. That one bank where it's like, technically, if anyone comes in here from Jacksonville, Florida, we're supposed to shut down immediately.
Right.
It's just like
the Carmen Electra Theater killed me.
What was the airport? What was the airport named?
Ric Flair.
Was it Ric Flair Airport?
It was a
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's just everything that they do. Yeah. The stuff that all the disrespect they put on Jacksonville, Florida is so funny, but so well deserved. I lived in Florida briefly. I didn't live in Jacksonville. I lived in Orlando, and Orlando is bullshit. It's a bullshit place that has Disney World and Universal Studios, and
that's
Legoland is cool. Yeah, and that's pretty much that's where people work. That's where everyone works pretty much, and it's awful, awful, awful. And kids straight up die at Disney World like all the time. But they never actually technically die at Disney World because they'll bring in a paramedic and then they'll drive the paramedic away from Disney World about 3 miles away and then declare them dead there. And so no one's ever technically died at Disney World. So yeah, Florida is a shit show of it's a dirty sock of this country. And if I have any Florida
like
viewers, it literally looks like a broken, inflamed penis. It's really just awful. If I have any Florida viewers, please continue to watch the show and support our Venmo. But also your state is
get out of Florida.
Well, yeah, get out. Just leave.
Save yourself.
You care about your salvation.
There
was Randy Macho Man Savage Airport.
Isn't that like the number one point gainer is moving away from Florida?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Very.
But going back to the point system, like that's like, the whole, positive, negative, like you said, it gets super complicated. And that's like, to me, the single funniest scene on The Good Place, if I go to YouTube and I'm going to watch a Good Place clip, the funniest scene is Cheety's marshmallow chili breakdown, which is so much more poignant. Is so much more poignant when he realizes that everything he's done just doesn't mean shit.
It's my favorite part is right after that when he goes and he talks to the guy and he goes the depravity, and then he says God is dead and we have killed him. What games of he does that? I can't. Obviously, I'm not going to remember that quote.
He's quoting Nietzsche.
Grabs the guy. Yeah. Nietzsche, and he just grabs him, and I watched that probably 30 times about a week ago. I just kept rewinding it. It's so fucking funny.
I love I believe it's in season 2 when they're doing the train. They're doing the train metaphor.
Mm-hmm.
And and then like Michael goes into his whole thing. It's like, well, if you do it this way, then you kill these people. And that's really great. And then you just kind of get to everyone. It's so, the show is just done so well. It's honestly like, it's disappointing. It actually was a hit show and people did love it, but it's disappointing how many people have no idea. They're just totally missing out. I talked to some people and they're like, hey, I watched a couple episodes. It seemed like kind of an okay show. It's like, what? Just a couple episodes? I broke up with a girlfriend because she wasn't into The Good Place. I ended an engagement because it was also because she was a rape apologist and she loved cops and was like super racist and only wanted to have babies with me because she wanted interracial baby. But also because of The Good Place thing. So kind of a
bad place.
For sure. Like if I go to The Good Place and she's there, I will.
Damn it! I'm in the bad place.
Pissed.
Yeah. This is the bad place.
I'm actually in the bad place. You're not fooling me.
Lavelle Crawford has this one joke. It's This is a joke. Unfortunately for you guys, all three of you, you won't necessarily be able to repeat it, but I will go ahead and say it because I have that privilege. LaBelle Crawford has this joke where he's like, if I ever met God and I found out that he was black, I would be pissed as hell, man. I'd be like, what the hell you been doing? You ain't been watching what's been going on with us? No, man, I don't even want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You ain't a real nigga. You ain't been keeping it 100, man. So, man, love LaBelle Crawford. Yeah. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to our second subtopic. We have so much to get to. Our second subtopic is, what was it that made Michael change his mind about humanity? Now, this one is interesting. I think there are a couple obvious points in there because, he's a fucking demon. That's his job, and like pretty much his kind of identity also as well. But it's very interesting how he goes from like, wonderful, perfect, awful place that will torment these 4 humans. Like the whole experiment was kind of really, really weird. Like that, there are definitely better ways to torture humans, just send them to Jacksonville, Florida, but he decided to do it this way. And then they ended up changing his mind, like all 4 of them in a way, really, and I don't think it was like just Eleanor, but what was it that made Michael like change his mind and now want to save humanity, save all of humanity, and take on that job himself? What was it that made him want to do that? Let's start with Dean. Yeah, let's start with Dean. What do you think, bud?
All right, man. I think truly in the beginning it was to get himself out of trouble, right? I think he realized that if the experiment went down, he just switched sides, and he had no concern for really what happened to them, other than getting him to a place that he's not in trouble anymore. And then, in my opinion, I know he says it twice. He says once it's friendship and love, that really changed him for the humans. But I think in all, I think truly he made that decision when he realized that the point system was off, right? When he realized that he was okay with torturing people that deserve to be tortured. But he was like, these humans don't deserve that. They're not, there's something wrong here. And that's when I think his mind truly changed and he decided to help them out.
Okay, that's a good point. What about you, Mr. Michael? What do you think, sir?
I definitely agree with that. I think part of it, I think Chidi was a big part of him changing. I agree with Dean where in the beginning it's to save his own ass. And then he's forced to take these ethic lessons. And he doesn't have any real... So the existential crisis was the first point where you see Michael start to change. And like one of the things that kind of happens later in that season, after the and then the trolley part problem happens, he can live for eternity. He has no inner morals that he has to really contend with. Time goes on, Eleanor says, a few thousand years goes on. Oh, what? That happened a few thousand years ago. Get over it. Like he doesn't have a and then as Chidi gets to him, he starts seeing how hard it is to be a human. He sees these humans helping. I think the 803 or 802 reboots, he doesn't understand. He doesn't understand why they keep getting better. Because he's being told and brainwashed to think all humans are garbage. Like that was what he was brought into. Everyone who's here deserves to be here. And then you start looking at them, and as he learns morals and ethics, he kind of gets like, wait, this is kind of messed up. Like this doesn't make sense that these, like, why, and I think that's what ends up happening to him. And as you see in the show, he's a great liar in the beginning, right? Season 1, lies his ass off, has no problems. Starting in like season 3, especially, he's really bad at it. He's been taking these ethical lessons and he gets to the judge, and now he can't really lie. He starts becoming more human as that process happens.
That's a very fair point. Yeah, he really, I think from the very beginning that I think he's a little bit jealous of humans. because
Yes.
you know, I mean, like he was just a demon. He's always been a demon. He was never not a demon since the beginning of time or existence or whatever you want to call it. That's been his job. Demon.
Yeah.
Hey, here, demon. All right, cool. Could I be anything else? No, demon. And you know, he sees these humans and he sees these lives. They get to do this. They go to the grocery store. They go to school. They get in relationships. They have failed relationships. They like do bad things. They have to deal with the consequences. Then they learn from them. They have all of these experiences that him as a demon, you don't really get to do any of that shit. Like that ain't you. Like, you know, they are given a choice. Like, you know, I think like, you know, this is also a big point in Dogma is like, that's why those like, you know, oh boy, like, you know, go and like do what they do is because Ben Affleck, he's like, it's bullshit. They were given a choice. We never got that. Why? It's not fair, you know? I think even like, yeah, you know, angels can relate on that level too. It's like, we just be doing this shit. Like, this is all we do. So, like, Ted Denson's character, Michael, he sees these humans. He sees what they are and what they can be. And he, on some level, knows that I can kind of never be that. So I think that's why he kind of like is so content on like trying to torture them as best he can. That's his motivation for torturing him. And I think that's his motivation for changing his mind about humanity is because a part of him has always kind of wanted to be human. All right.
Well, he gets to kind of act human when he's in the good place, bad place.
Yeah.
He gets to be a part, like he says in the thing, we miss out on all the fun. He gets to have fun. This is the first time he's not just at a board drawing something up or just torturing. He gets to kind of act like a human the entire time he's torturing them.
He gets to like really do it. All right, and Regan, what about you, sir?
So, what was it that made him change his mind about the humanity? I mean, like everybody else, I think it starts off as self-preservation.
Yeah,
and I think it comes down to a fake it till you make it sort of thing. You know, like he's okay. I have to save the humans to save myself. And then eventually get to the judge and it's like, oh, these guys are actually decent people. And then eventually I think his own mindset changes to where, hey, you know what? Yeah, these guys all definitely deserved the bad place when we started, but they don't deserve it now. And if the punishment is forever, but you know, we were all, like he says all the time, we were told that people couldn't change. We've been told for millions of years that people cannot change, and yet they do. So what's up with that? And it's I think it's really that he comes to their side when he realizes it's like he comes to their side not because of the people, because they realize that the system's fucked up. When he realizes that the system is you know, it doesn't work. And once people can change, you know, when you're an immortal being, you know, you're not going to change that easily because, you know, like you guys were saying, what's another 1,000 years? But when you're met with people who can change and change rapidly, you know, that's going to throw the whole curve off.
Yeah, it will definitely kind of change your feelings about a lot of stuff. I just I look at like where Michael started and where he ended up, like, you know, by the end of the show. And like, I think out of everyone's like, you know, story, everyone kind of was transformed in a very huge way. Like, you know, Tahani, like, you know, resolving her feelings with her sister and her parents, you know, who both treated her very poorly, and then learned to like, you know, like take it easy on herself. Like, you know, she kind of finally became a full person after dying, you know. I think that, and then like, you know, Chidi truly like, you know, growing into a full person and realizing that like one of the biggest things that matters to him and the thing that he's never had an issue deciding on is Eleanor. He truly like, you know, loves her a lot. And then Eleanor just realizing that, you know, she is worth something. She's so much more than, you know, what she was kind of raised to think she was. You know, she's like, so really, you know, she not basic, you know. And then and Jason and Janet, I think they're like, you know, their whole relationship, how it transformed. But yeah, Michael especially, I think his transformation was the most significant because he went from a demon to an advocate for humanity to a savior of humanity to a human. And that's just some beautiful ass shit, you know. Just what they did with this show, like, you know, I mean, it truly stands alone. I mean, what other comedy is there about like fucking humanity and salvation and like heaven and earth?
Philosophy.
Like hardcore philosophy.
Hardcore philosophy. I mean, who does?
Yeah.
And I think
I'm
on
a huge
paper,
philosophy reader, and I never would have thought you could. The way they boiled down philosophy, because I've read Socrates, like for fun. I'm a nerdy guy. I like philosophy a lot.
I'm a nerd.
Total nerd out for that shit. I love Aristotle. He's my man. But like the fact that they could boil these down to concepts, like people that, I'm not going to say they're not smart, people that I know that don't read. They're not into philosophy at all. They're talking about like my ex-girlfriend talks about how she loves a good place. It's like, that was interesting. I'm like, you got that? You got deontology. Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
I never thought I'd see that.
Ouch.
well, I'm just saying, like, I boil it down
like,
that you can really understand the concepts they're teaching you. And yeah, they're boiled down past, like, they're getting the broad concepts. At the same time, like, someone who isn't a philosophy major can understand it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they did it.
I like to talk about the writing on that as well. Yeah,
I would say this show. You go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, sorry. And the writing on that as well. You know, they somehow managed to bring those lessons without making it feel like an after-school special.
Very much.
Without making it feel like
it was never.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, and it's so hard to talk about these really high concept things without either being preachy or spending half the episode on exposition. They somehow managed to boil it down to 2 sentences and then move on with the episode and make it still feel fluid. And that's a testament to the writing staff at NBC and The Good Place.
It doesn't always like work out. Like there was also this show called The Carmichael Show, starring Gerard Carmichael, really great comedian, like super awesome. You guys make sure to check him out. Really amazing. But he did this show where his father was David Alan Grier, and it was a family show, really great show. And they talked about like serious topics, but it often came off as very preachy, and I think that's ultimately was the show's downfall. Like when you think about The Good Place, like on paper, this shouldn't have worked. It shouldn't have. Like it just like at all. It just like any other. I bet like, you know, they probably pitched this to like maybe a couple other channels, some other networks, and they were like, dude, no way. There's no way this will work. You'll never make it in this town, kid. Smoke cigar in limo. and then it like just blew the fuck up. It was just like critically acclaimed show and critically acclaimed performances by all, especially Maya Rudolph. She got an Emmy nomination for this role, and then but ended up winning it for her role in Big Mouth. Well deserved, absolutely tremendous work from Maya Rudolph. Like I would expect nothing less. Like she was one of the most talented people to come out of the latter years of SNL, easily. She did tremendous. Everyone did really great on the show. Like William Jackson Harper is incredible. Like pretty much, I don't know what show he's going to do next, but I guarantee I'm going to watch it. I'll tell you that right now. And then Kristen Bell, you know, I mean, her resume speaks for herself. Everyone did tremendous. But yeah, Maya Rudolph really deserved that fucking Emmy. I'm really glad she got that shit. That was dope. All right, guys. If you are enjoying everything that we're talking about, enjoying all of our nerdy and geeky banter and all of our funny hijinks and shenanigans, make sure to donate to us. You can do that on Venmo. We will take your money. We'll never slap it away and be like, no! That would be weird. That would be an uncomfortable thing to do. For donations, please send them on Venmo at BL Comedy or on the Cash App. That's a big $, Big Laugh Comedy. And all of the contributions will be divided between the production crew and the talent on the show. We are going to take a quick commercial break and we will be right back.
I'm coaching my son's football team now. It's really great to spend time with him. And the other kids are great too. He has told me that I can be a little bit intense sometimes. You call that running? You fumble my football again, I'm putting you up for adoption. Hey ref, are you blind? Oh, you actually are blind in one eye. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think I need to ease up a little.
Reduce your stress with Elevate. Elevate enhances your mood, prevents hangovers. It has 0% THC, it's calorie-free and works in minutes. If you want to relieve stress and feel better overall, try Elevate.
Great hustle out there, guys. Great job.
What are you talking about, Dad? We lost.
Yeah, but whatever. We're getting pizza anyway.
Go to www.amahealing.co/elevate and use promo code BLC and get 20% off for the next 24 hours. Then 15% off after that on all AMA products.
Being a content creator can be a lot of work, and sometimes it can be a lot of stress. Especially when haters start talking all that shit and acting like they got hands, when you know they don't. I didn't know what to do. But then my doctor recommended Say Something Else.
Say Something Else is available over the counter. It's recommended for content creators, comedians, SoundCloud rappers, or anyone dealing with bitch asses. If you experience rage, pettiness, or quick as fuck hands, then you're taking Say Something Else correctly. We strongly advise taking it with alcohol.
Let me tell you something right now. Say something else and see what happens. I double dare you. It's double dare. Mark Summers up in this bitch. And I don't care if you live in Louisiana either. Flights are cheap as fuck now. I will fly out there, fuck you up, and then I'll do some sightseeing. Maybe have some beignets. But I'm mainly there to fuck you up. Thanks, Say Something Else.
Not approved by the FDA.
All right, and we are back. Learned a lot during that commercial break. A lot of good times. All right, we're going to go ahead and get right into the second half of the show here. The third question is, why was Eleanor chosen to save the very possibility of salvation? Like, you know, everything that she did, like, you know, it doesn't necessarily guarantee that everyone's going to go to the good place now, but you got a pretty decent shot now. You're definitely up there. Everything that she did, like, it's amazing that she kind of became the glue, the leader of this pack, you know. And, you know, on paper, like, you know, it probably should have been like, you know, Chidi or maybe even Tahani, possibly, like, you know, Eleanor, like, you know, we make fun of Florida and everything, but, you know, where she's from is pretty awful as well. It's interesting that she was kind of the one that really kind of, without her, it doesn't really work. None of it worked out. None of it would have worked out without her. She kind of like was the thing that kept the whole team together. She's the one who really fixed it. She's the one that realized that they're in the bad place. She's, you know, she's not a genius or anything. She's a very, very intelligent person. Like, you know, she's been taking care of herself since she was 14 years old. Like, she emancipated herself from her parents. She's like, dude, like, you guys don't even want to do this and I don't want to be here. Let's just part ways, okay? We can still be friends, except not at all. Like, you know, it's amazing, like, you know, all the things that she was kind of capable of doing herself, you know, like she's always kind of like, you know, really towed the line with, you know, morality and stuff like that with her job, you know, like, you know, selling those like horrible drugs to people that are not okay. You know, it's kind of she was a jerk for most of her life, but, you know, she definitely had reason to. But the fact that she ends up becoming the person that literally saves humanity is very significant. Why was it Eleanor? Why Eleanor? why do you think that she deserved to be that person? Let's start with Michael. Michael, what do you think?
I mean, Eleanor, I think, is the one. First of all, I mean, it starts with her, and she's the first person. First of all, she's a survivor. That's what we learn, especially when you go into her past. Like you said, she emancipated herself from her parents. She was working 2 part-time jobs in high school, like to pay for her college. Her parents blow, and she's like, "I don't need you." So she lives this whole life of selfishness out of necessity to survive. Yeah, because her parents bring her down, she cuts them off. When people introduce things to her that make her life more inconvenient, she goes on her own. Like with the coffee example, her boyfriend's just like, "Shouldn't we try and do something nice?" And she's like, "No, that's too much work. Like I've gotten through myself." And so because she gets better, like Chidi, I don't think obviously his indecisiveness gets in the way. Although he kind of has a comeback in the 4th season when they reboot him, all of a sudden he can make decisions because he's seen everything and he's seen how it's affected him. But she's the survivor of the group. Her and Jason, I could give that to Jason. Jason obviously not smart enough to really help. And Tahani comes from a place of, I mean, she represents privilege to me. In this case, rich privilege. So I think Eleanor's the character to go after because she survives and she knows she's the one who's always like on to the next step. What's coming up next? And because she's the first one to get better, I think she understood what it would take to get better, or she sees that there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes. Yeah. I definitely, I agree with that. Let's see. Aaron, what do you think?
Why was Eleanor chosen to save salvation? Because she has top billing.
Top billing.
but
that is the point.
Kidding aside,
she wasn't Frozen. Yeah.
Do what?
She wasn't Frozen. I mean, she's like Elsa or whatever. Yeah.
Right. But yeah. So like, she's got top billing. So I mean, of course, she's gonna be significant. But I mean, when it comes down to it, part of it could be laziness, and I'm to get there. She's a survivor. She's a scrapper, but she's also very pragmatic. She's going to find the very simplest way to do any given task. Why complicate things? This is my life. I'm going to live it the way I'm going to live it, and I'm going to live it, and I'm going to do whatever is the easiest way for me to do it. And that, I think that pragmatism eventually helps. You look at what happens with how they fix the Good Place. Chidi's the one who ultimately comes up with the idea, but Eleanor's still the face of the group. And she ends up being the one who's really good about the hows to how to actually get there from point A to point B.
Yeah. I mean, she really is she kind of is a natural born leader because she's kind of always had to be. Like she's kind of had to be the leader of like her own life. Like, her parents didn't really do anything. Like she resolves that with, her mom and everything. Like, they're cool by the end of it,
I don't know if she's actually a natural leader. I don't know if she's actually a leader. I think she was a leader who was never given a group to lead.
Yeah.
Still a leader.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it still works out. Dean, what do you think, sir?
Man, I think the leader standpoint is what, I mean, just because you're a leader doesn't mean they're coming up with the decisions. You know how to outsource that. You know how to get people to get to do things, I mean, we all know people that are like that. If you just like Chidi obviously is the idea guy, but she's the only one. You could never rely on Chidi. And I mean, even in the end, he's still the idea guy, but he's like, look, I don't know the answer. I just know, or I know the answer, but I don't know how to get it done, And so, I think, Jason, obviously, he's a sweetheart and has the best intentions, and in the end, Tahani, I don't ever think truly realized that she did not absolutely deserve to be in the Good Place until like very, very, very far on, like she's the last one to get it, as they go through, like even, I mean, matched with Chidi, that she does not deserve to be there. But anyway, I think that Eleanor is a leader, and knows just how to get shit done. And she's going to take charge.
Yeah, that's fair. I think she just goes through, she goes through quite a transformation, I mean, like from where she was on like the last day on Earth. Like, first of all, her death was the funniest one.
Oh yeah.
Like it's terrible. That's a really weird sentence. But it's killed with like, I'm always kind of like, I'm always kind of
Jason's was really funny.
Jason's was really funny.
Jason's was pretty funny.
That's like dying.
He died doing whippets inside of a safe with a snorkel.
That's hilarious. But I don't know. Like I at HEB, for those of you who are not Texas native, HEB is the grocery store out here. Whenever I'm at a grocery store and like I see those giant like stacks of carts, like sometimes they get loose all the time. Usually it like fucks up like a really nice car. It happens like all the time. Like yeah.
It's literally happened to me.
Yeah, has that ever happened?
Yes, I went
okay, and they don't even like.
Yeah, and the guy was pushing it, and a hailstorm started, and the dude I watched him, and I was like, I just backed my truck up into an HEB, and just to try to pick a spot instead of driving down the road because the hail damages you more, and all the gas stations were filled up. So I pulled into the HEB. He's pushing the carts down. It starts to hail really hard, and he just starts running. And at one point he decides, fuck it. And he takes off. And I watched the carts get closer and closer to my truck. And I was like, no way. And it just takes out the front of my truck, man. Like dented in all the front side, hit my radiator. Like I couldn't even drive home.
Oh my God, dude. I didn't like, those things can fuck you up, man. It is not okay. And by the way, Dean, just quick update. Did they claim responsibility and like compensate you for the vehicle? Like,
barely. HEB is really good about it. And what they ended up doing is they were like, they have little signs that are put up that says, we're not responsible for any damages done in the parking lot by buggies. But I was like, it's your employee and you'll have it on camera, Like it wouldn't have happened. Why was he even out there? But they paid for my deductible and my insurance company took care of it. And so it wouldn't cost me any money. Yeah. But my
Walmart wouldn't have done shit, bro.
No.
Walmart wouldn't have done nothing, bro.
No.
I mean, shit. Like it was a while before they settled things with Tracy Morgan. So
yeah.
like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. They would have charged me. They were like, you damaged our buggies. Like, what?
Bitch. I would have lost my shit. I'm glad it was you there instead of me, because I would have lost. Oh boy. Oh man. I'm not even. It's not even happening to me, and I'm angry. Yeah. But yeah. Her. But yeah. We got distracted there with HEB. This show is brought to you by HEB. No, it's not. It's brought to you by Elevate. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. Our next one is, what has this shown you or taught you about your own personal beliefs? I'm actually going to go ahead and jump into this one first. So I'm Christian Baptist, Black Baptist, which is like really fucking Baptist. I'm mainly Baptist whenever I go home to San Antonio and visit my parents. That's when I'm like really Baptist, because you got to go to church. I try to like make my visits like not fall on a weekend, so that way but then if it does, I gotta go. But yeah, I've always seen some irregularities with religion personally, like being a very large Black man and seeing what like happens to Black people, like not just like what's been happening like since May, guys. Like, by the way, like racism didn't just start in May of this year. I want all of you to know that, like everyone watching.
It started in April. We know.
Yeah, April. It started in April 19th, April 19th. It was after tax day. But when you see all of that, when I see what like happens to my people and what I see what happens to other people, what I see to happen to like my gay friends and like white friends that I have, like everyone's kind of under it right now. When I see all of the injustice and all of the terrible things and like monsoons and like Samsung Galaxy phones and like, you know, In-N-Out burgers getting made everywhere. I'm like, God doesn't like us, you know? And it makes me question, like, you know, my faith in humanity all the time, because I'm like, you know, there are so many people that use the Lord's name in vain. And I don't mean saying stuff like, God damn it. I don't think he trips too much about that, okay? What else are you going to say when you like hit the corner of your bed? Okay, that's what that's for, is like hitting the corner of your bed with your foot. It hurts. All right. I'm talking about when people like, you know, persecute like people of color or like anyone who has a different religion than you. The Spanish Inquisition was using the Lord's name in vain. The Christian Crusades were using the Lord's name in vain. What happened to Matthew Shepard was using the Lord's name in vain. Like, you know, any kind of shit like that. Like, you know, when you're doing it and then you call yourself like, you know, a God-fearing man, Donald Trump is using the Lord's name in vain every single day. All right. That's what it is. This show has taught me or shown me that people can get better and that like humanity isn't like, you know, completely lost. We are struggling in a whole lot of ways, especially this year. This has been like really, I think, a tough year for absolutely everyone. If there's anyone who's like, I'm thriving this year, you're kind of an asshole, like very much so. But this show showed me that like it's not all over. You know, there is hope. There's always hope for humanity. There's always hope. Like, you know, you got to kind of just, things are really bad right now, and but I think they will eventually get better. There's hope out there. There are ways, like, you know, there's more than one way to skin a cat. I think that's what this show has shown me. Like, our interest needs to be in people. We need to worry about people and animals and living things. You know, I'm not forgetting all of that. But I think basically what this show has shown me, that even the worst person is capable of redemption. You know, Jason Mendoza eventually got into the good place. You know, that alone should teach you that it's not over. There's no point where you have gone too far. During one of my sophomore lit classes in college, I read the story of Dr. Faustus, who was a doctor and a man of studies who eventually like traded his soul for power. And the angels told him, hey, don't do that, like get your soul back. And he thought once he like, you know, he sold it, he gave it away, that it was too late, and that he like, you know, he never thought that he could redeem himself. And they tell him that's not true. That's not really how it works. Like, you are capable of redeeming yourself up until the very end. And he never did it. And it was actually like a really like sad story. And it wasn't really a rising action, it was declining action the entire time. It was really kind of a bummer. It's a really kind of a bummer of a book, but still very good. But yeah, this show teaches us the opposite of that it's never too late. You can literally be at the end of your life and still redeem yourself. They were all dead. It was too late, supposedly, but they saved their souls anyway. You know, so that's my long, congested version of what I learned from The Good Place. You know what? Whoever wants to start first, go ahead and go first. I take the last couple times. Dean raised his hand first. You go for it.
Okay, man. Real short and simple. I think that what I learned from the show, or what I took away from it, is that, you know, don't do good things, because I think that's where Christianity falls short so many times, is don't do good things because of what it'll give you. Do good things just to be a good person, man. And whatever happens in the afterlife, happens in the afterlife. But if you do good things just to do good things and to make people happy and to make everything flow fluid, then you're going to end up living a much happier life. Like, follow the golden rule, man. That's where, and I grew up Baptist and partly Catholic, and man, from what I've taken away with it is follow the golden rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. And if everyone just does that simple thing, then we'll all be fine. Everything will be fluid, and nobody will live a horrible life. And if it all just ends up being darkness in the end, then at least the time that we spent here will have had a decent and good time for everybody. That's what I got.
That's good. Yeah, and very, very to the point. Thank you. Who wants to go next?
Yeah, I'll go.
All right, don't make. All right. Bueller.
All right. So things that I got out of the Good Place. The one moral philosophy is a lot more complicated than it looks. There's so many different moral systems out there, and that's that was one of Chidi's indecisiveness, was trying to combine them all together into what was like a 3,000 page paper that he was trying to write, and it was just super incoherent and nobody could understand it. But the other part of that too is that ultimately what it comes down to is it's a whole bunch of people trying to find the right thing, trying to find out what good is. Unfortunately, good has potential to be subjective. But ultimately, but deep down, we all I feel like deep down at a core, we all know what it's supposed to be. It's the golden rule. It's doing to others. It's the Wheaton rule. Don't be a dick. It's the, it's the teachings of Jesus saying, be a light in this world. It's Buddha saying, hey, don't, be, just be. And then on top of all that, it's the, man, I'm losing my train of thought. I was doing so good.
Been there, done that.
Ultimately, it comes down to, we're all trying to do the best we can, and the most that, and I think where I'm trying to get to is kind of what you were saying earlier, Carter, which was the idea of we're all trying to do the best we can. And like you said, doesn't matter who you are, doesn't matter how terrible a person you are or have ever been, people can change. And it takes longer for some people to make that change. I mean, Mark in season 4, was, after several thousand Baramies was still like, wait, what do you mean? I thought she was pretty. What do you mean I can't tell her that?
The tits look nice. Yeah,
exactly. It's like, you mean I can't tell her that? But ultimately, that's,
you're not supposed to say that.
Yeah, but there's still, even the worst people, without getting political, whichever party you're for, it's the other guy. There's still something. You have to recognize there's still a kernel of good in everybody. And if we treat other people like that kernel of good exists, I think we're going to be better off.
I think that definitely that can be said for both parties. I think both sides of the quarter, as far as politics, can be very unforgiving of the other side, and definitely we both have trouble practicing what we preach. And I think that could definitely a testament to both sides of the party on that one. Michael, what do you think, sir?
I absolutely love this show. I think every intro to philosophy professor should show this to their kids as a way of, obviously reading too, but it's such a beautiful show without using, I know Christians who love this show. One of my best friends is Buddhist. He loves this show. I'm an atheist. I think I'm the only non-religious person in the group. But it is that everyone is different and everyone has good to them. That's the point of the show. And what can you do today that will help the world today? And it doesn't have to be big things. You just have to, what do we owe to each other is, I think, the central theme of the show. And I think if we treat our world like that, we end up with a better world. You can take that many different directions. We've said not to get political a whole bunch of times, but what do we owe to each other and the world? Global warming seems like it's a real thing. If you don't think it's real, that's fine. But what does it hurt to put forth things that'll make this a cleaner. Okay, said global warming doesn't exist. We still have less carcinogens, so less cancer. We still have cleaner air, so we can live longer. We have all these positives. What do we owe to the earth versus hoping that it just gets better? We can either make it better now, or we can hope that things are going to end up okay. I think the thing I got from the show is how proactive they are in the show, and how they are, how the meaning of the show is what could, like season 3, when they all go off to help the people that they love. Well, we can't get into the good place. Now they have no moral imperative to help anybody. They're going to the bad place that we think of, right? In season 3.
Yeah.
But they still go out of their way to help people they love, or no, like in Eleanor, it's complicated with her mom. But she still loves her mom, and she goes to help her mom out. Jason goes to help his dad. Tahani goes to help her sister. And they have no moral imperative to do so. That they're screwed at that point. Michael told them what the afterlife is going to be. So I think that was the central point of the show. And I think a thing everyone should take from the show, whether you believe in whatever moral philosophy you want, whatever religion you want. I think that's a problem we all have, is we go, well, this is the way. So everyone needs to think the way I do, which is what we're seeing in politics, in religion all the time, instead of finding the good in each other.
Yeah. I mean, very well put.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think, this show just, I think, honestly, this is one of those shows, like, if you didn't walk away, like, feeling a little bit different, then you didn't watch the show. It's kind of like the Boondocks. Yeah. Like, if you're only, like, quoting, like, just funny things from Boondocks, but you don't walk away realizing, oh, man, there are, like, a lot of, like, problems in, like, America, like, then you didn't watch the Boondocks correctly. It's sort of the same thing. So we have one more quick bonus question. We've already kind of like touched on this a little bit throughout the show, but we'll go ahead and get to it really quick. Why didn't they just make Jacksonville, Florida, the bad place? Oh my God. Okay, so as someone who spent some time in Florida, like, I can attest that it is the worst place ever. And you just don't need to ever go there. They have a Disney World in California. You can just go there. California's going through its shit too. Okay, prayers for like all of the fires and all the
second
other
worst place
crazy shit that is always going out. And pray for all the people that have to go to In-N-Out instead of Whataburger. I hope it gets better. But yeah, Jacksonville, Florida.
In-N-Out is beautiful.
Fight. Man, I was with you all the way till that point, man.
Look, man.
They don't have a patty melt.
No, they make a good fast food burger. They need one burger. Okay, I'm done. Sorry.
The In-N-Out and Whataburger beef is real. It's very real.
I want to go to the mics that Michael's at. I'm just going to be quiet.
But honestly, Jacksonville, Florida, like, it is just such a shit show of a place. Like, it's really rough. Does anyone, Dean, what do you think about Jacksonville, Florida? Should it have been the bad place, or did Michael do a pretty good job of making the bad place?
I think Michael did a good job of making the bad place, but because if they were in Jacksonville, Florida, they would have known. They would have just
that's true.
If it started there, no. And I bet that there are a bunch of variations. Yeah, you'd be like, oh, this is paradise. No, man. I think that Jacksonville, Florida is a hellhole full of turd city people, and it'd be miserable to go there.
It would absolutely. If you wanted to punish Jason Mendoza, send him to like Seattle or some shit like that. He wouldn't.
Columbus, Ohio.
There. Or that would have been perfect. Oh my gosh. Aaron, real quick, what do you got?
I mean, somebody's got to like it, so it's not the bad place. But I mean, I don't know. Like I'm not a wrestling fan, but any city that's willing to name their airport after a professional wrestler is rad on some level.
On some level, I bet that airline is better than Spirit. Like, you know, it's still
that's a really low bar.
Very much so. Oh my God, worst airline ever. Unless you guys decide to sponsor us, then you're cool. But until then,
I will sing the praises. We'll sell out.
Gosh, Michael, what do you got, real quick?
I think, well, part of me goes, yeah, Jason would be in paradise, so it wouldn't work for him. But also, no matter where, like you said, Seattle, I'm like, I don't know if Jason ever knows enough about what's going on to realize any place would be the bad place. Like, he would just be like, oh, this sucks. But I don't think he realizes he's dead most of the time. So I think it might be just a mute point to put it in Jacksonville. Maybe it tortures the other three, and Jason's like, oh, this is great. He still has to watch the Jaguars lose, probably. That would probably be his torture. And watch the world get replaced.
That would be...
Like, they could probably do that.
That would be his bad
That was
place.
such a beautiful part of that show.
Or like he's about to watch he's about to watch the game, and then it, like, you know, is interrupted for like a news report or something like that.
Right. Because that dude was like, his big claim to fame was being in during a hurricane. He was like, I'm on Bortles rules. Like, that guy has no clue about safety. He puts himself in an airtight safe. I think Jason is just, he's going to be in the bad place, but not really realize it no matter what. Like, that's just who Jason is. And so, but, oh, by the way, after they called it's Randy Macho Man Savage Airport, there was a petition to rename the actual Jacksonville airport. They got like 100,000 signatures. They wanted
Yes.
Damn it! Jacksonville, Florida, come on, for real. You're an actual place that exists.
Good thing you could have done.
Brother.
Beautiful.
I can't think of a better way to end the show than that. That is a perfect way. It's like getting out of an elevator and farting just before you leave, and everyone has to go up to the 11th floor. Oh man, just have a good one. Oh my God. My thanks to Michael, Dean, Aaron. So great to see you guys. I hope I get to hang out with all of you after all of this nonsense is ended. I also want to thank my producer, Daniel. Your magic is real as I believe in you. Our engineer, Jose. Our executive producer, Brandon Lewin. You're one of my favorite and least favorite people at the same time. Also want to thank our sponsor, Elevate. Definitely make sure to check out that product. It's wonderful. If you use the promo code that we showed you, BLC, you'll get 20% off the first 24 hours, then 15% off after that, which is still a really great deal. And guys, this has been Geek'd Out. I've been your host, Carter Anderson, and we will see you next week.